Environmentalism has different shades. The first shade or first approach or first school of thought is the school of thought of determinism. The determinists who say that nature is superior, environment is superior, and man is passive. Nature is molding the lifestyle of the people. Nature or environment is making the destiny of the people. If people are advanced, it is because of nature or environment. If people are backward, that is also because of, wonderful, if you please just push on that, this भाग्यवादी, हमारे भाग्य में लिखा था इसलिए मिल गया, नहीं लिखा था IAS नहीं होगा. No place for human efforts. They are known as determinists, and all the scholars of all the ancient period in all the countries were determinists. Why Romans are advanced? Because of environment. Why Africans are backward? Because of environment. Why German during that period or North Europe was backward? Because of environment, very cold conditions. So this was approach known as determinism. And there were 4 shades of determinism also before Charles Darwin. After that, some scholars tried to explain it scientifically, like Redfield, saying location is most important. Miss Semple, the student of Redfield, saying topography is more important. And another American geographer, Huntington, said climate is decided. And other geographers give more importance to soil and natural conditions. This is the gist of actually the determinism. But the French scholars were not in agreement with this. They were saying that nature is not a dictator. Nature provides opportunities, options, choice. And choice increases as the technology and knowledge increases. So nature gives you choice. You can do this work, this work, this work for your development. Therefore, man is active. Man decides his destiny himself. Nature provides the resource, but every person, every community, every nation use the resources according to their culture. So the possibilists gave emphasis on culture. That culture is more important. And I cited a very simple example yesterday. If there is a land or a resource, people of different background will try to use that land in different way. This is actually possibilism, and it was preached by Vidal de Lara. Febvre gave the concept, and it was preached by Vidal de Lara, who is known as the leader of the French school of geography. He coined other terms also like generous review. That lifestyle or value system of the people is very important. Their culture decides how they are going to use their resources. Then neo-determinism came by Griffith Taylor, who worked and produced a thesis on the rainfall distribution in Australia and the distribution of human settlements, saying more rainfall, more density of settlements. Less rainfall, less density of settlements. And proposed that nature has given a plan or a blueprint for each region of the world. The wise people follow that program, and unwise people do according to their wishes. For the sustainability of any resource or region, the program of nature is to be followed. If he is not following, in the long run, he will be the loser. Because nature knows only 2 things. In the long run, either possible or impossible. This concept of wise and folly or wisdom are the human concept. Human thinks in short term, at the most 100 years. Our life is short, that's why we never plan for thousands of years. And in nature, even 10,000 years are a fraction of a second. If you see the age of the earth, it is 4.6 billion years. So 10,000 years when agriculture was started, that is just a fraction of second in physics. So nature plan is long-term plan. Man's program is short, 1 year planning, 5 year planning, like this. So anyhow, all these things were discussed and criticized. Then, after the Second World War, here occurred a turn in the discipline of geography. When James Conant in 1948, he became the Vice Chancellor. Yesterday, I think in a hurry, I made a mistake. He was the Vice Chancellor of the Harvard University, not of Clark University. Do that correction. Perhaps yesterday I spoke Clark University. He was the Vice Chancellor of the Harvard University, one of the very prestigious academic institutions of USA. So when this fellow became the Vice Chancellor, and he himself was a geographer, he issued an order or notice that the Department of Geography of Harvard University should be closed down. Because geography is general knowledge. Geography is not a university subject. And university PG subject or research subject means any subject which is solving the problems of the society or doing research about the problems of the society, or solving the problems of resources and nature or environment, that is a university subject. And since geographers are not doing anything like this, the department has no relevance or justification to be a university subject. So the postgraduate department of the Harvard University was closed, which led to a debate. That debate, the result of the debate was a revolution occurred in geography that is known as quantitative revolution in geography. The topic for this morning is I will give you some point on this because it may be asked as a 20 marks question. Now, quantitative revolution or Sankhyaत्मक क्रांति occurred to discard the descriptive character of geography. Earlier, geo plus graphy was the definition. Geo plus graphy. Description of the earth surface. So, description is always subjective. If you are traveling in any site or any part of the country, you will get the image in your mind, some idea will come to you and you think this is like this. The idea may be correct or wrong, because this is always subject. So descriptive geography was actually rejected, simply it is the description is a subjective description, and description depends on the perception of a person plus his vocabulary of the language. That's why the Department of Geography was closed down. But there were some scholars of geography in USA who said James Conant is not correct. Geography is socially relevant subject. The only thing is we need to change the language of the subject. And the language of the subject should be mathematical language, should be statistical language, should be the language of geometry. Because if you do something or explain a theorem, everybody will be getting the same idea. Every formula is giving the same meaning. And the language, instead of saving the equatorial type of climate as I discussed in the Copin's classification of climate, he said that is not the right equatorial type of climate. The equatorial type of climate should be written like AF. A means any region where the temperature in each month is more than 18 degrees Celsius. and small f, fused, from German language, means a region in which each month is recording more than 6 centimeters rainfall. So if you write AF, everybody will getting the same idea. This is mathematical language in our subject. Emphasis work on it. And after 1948, 1950, many of the scholars used mathematical and statistical techniques in geography. So the first sentence, if there is a question on quantitative revolution, note down that. The diffusion, oblique, introduction, of statistical, mathematical, and geometric formulations in geography is known as quantitative revolution. Professor Burton, B-U-R-T-O-N, was a very staunch supporter, S-T-A-U-N-C-H, was a very staunch supporter of quantitative revolution. He published a book entitled Quantitative Revolution and Theoretical Geography. Then give a heading, Objectives of Quantitative Revolution. This is a heading. Number 1, point 1. To change the descriptive character of geography. To change the descriptive character of geography and to make it a scientific discipline. Number 2. To describe and explain. To describe and explain the physical and cultural phenomena in a scientific manner. Number 3. To use mathematical language. Instead the language of literature. Instead the language of literature. For example, for the equatorial climate, capital A with small f. Next, capital A with small. Next point, to test hypothesis. To make models and theories in geography. And to make prediction for the future. Next point, to identify the ideal location for various economic activities. I mean here, a factory should be located with the set objective to earn more profit, where the agriculture of a particular crop should be done to gain more profit, where the market should be located, where the people may get the benefit from. Next point, to provide geography a sound philosophical base and to make its methodology objective, oblique scientific. Actually, these were the objectives. And in the examination, you don't have much time. Always try to write point-wise in such questions. And if need, you can expand these points also. So first, what is quantitative revolution? Quantitative revolution means the diffusion of statistical, mathematical and geometric techniques in geography is known as quantitative. That is a simple most definition. And the objective was to give up the descriptive nature of the subject, to make it a scientific subject. And yet geographers were having a feeling or suffering from a feeling that we don't have our own theories and models. If we want to explain the population growth, we take the help of Malthus. Want to explain the rent, we are taking the help of Ricardo or Bonthonian. If we are examining the location of industries, we take the help of economists like Weber's theory of industrial location. So the geographers were having a heen bhavna or inferiority complex that we are dependent on sister disciplines to explain our issues and the problems. So the philosophical basis, especially of human geography, was weak. They emphasized we should develop our own formulae, our own theories, our own models. These were the objectives. After this, give another heading, phases. Phases of quantitative revolution. The emergence of quantitative tools in geography may be examined under the following 4 phases. Column. Phase 1, 1950 to 1958. This was the first phase. And during this phase, the main task of most of the geographers was to collect data, collection of primary data, and application of some sampling techniques. Because if you see about anything, the total is known as universe. Universe is very big, not that Brahman. If you see the population of India, the rural population of India, the total rural population of India is known as universe. Population universe of India. If you want to do research on the rural settlements of India, you cannot visit all the rural settlements of India. So some sampling is required. Sampling generally 5 to 10% is reasonable. If there are 1,000 villages, take about 5% to 10%, and on the basis of those samples you can ascertain and make some prediction. You can formulate some law. If you want actually Banki jisko kehte hain sample, if there are n number of bags of rice, the person will take only a few rice to know what is inside this bag. that is sampling. So in the first phase, the geographer went, we should generate data by field work, and sampling is required. For example, if I say all the students are very outstanding of this class, it will be overgeneralized. If I am saying everybody is sharp, very intelligent, it is a sweeping remark. If somebody says that Delhi University is the best university in India, that is also a sweeping generalization. We have to pick up some sample and compare with others. Only then the result will be whether the university is best or there are other universities better. This is the way. So in the first phase, between 1950 to 58, the geographers gave emphasis on sampling techniques. Don't study everything, go for sampling. Sampling may be random sampling, sampling may be purposive sampling, sampling may be stratified. There are different types of sampling. So in the first phase, the geographer's main thrust was on the collection of primary data and to apply the sampling techniques to reduce the data to a manageable table. This was actually the first phase known between 1950 to 58. In the phase 2, that phase 2 was between 1958 to 68. The scholars of this period who published their research papers, they tried to develop a correlation. Simple statistical technique, correlation and regression. And in the correlation, x-axis and the y-axis. On the x-axis, we plot the independent variable. On the y-axis, the dependent variable. For regression, suppose I will be, though you will not be having time to go in such detail, just to explain this, what is independent variable and dependent variable in case of geography. Suppose you know the rainfall distribution of a region. The rainfall or amount of rainfall may be independent variable. And then you correlate the production of rice that can be plotted on the Y. Generally, the line of regression will be higher the rainfall, more is the production of rice. Lesser the rainfall, less will be the production of rice. So this type of exercise was developed by the geographers between 1958 and 68, this duration. They went for some advanced technique also of statistics. Then the third phase, between 1968 to 78, geographers try to know the near neighborhood relationship. Near neighborhood relationship. For the purpose of planning, where should be the central places? Where should be the schools? Primary school, middle school, high school, then colleges and universities. Where should be the dispensaries, small hospitals, hospitals with beds, hospitals with different types of doctors, specialists, and the institutes. So this type of exercise was done, and it was based on multivariate analysis. In the third phase was the multivariate analysis plus the near neighborhood analysis to plan, to use the data for the planning purpose. And the fourth phase was between 1978 to 1988.
So what was the second? First is multivariate analysis and second?
Near neighborhood analysis. How far is that today some services available to you? Maybe marketing services, transport services, administrative services like that. And the fourth phase is known between 1978 to 1988. During this period, the geographers went for GIS, Geographic Information System, remote sensing, and GPS, Geographical Positioning System. Global, yes. Global positioning, GPS. So up to 1998, you have to give 2 sentences on each in case you are having the time. And if you are in shortage of time, skip all these 4 phases. It grew over the period of time like this. But